Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to, well, what has been a pretty interesting series so far. A dominating start by Vega Squadron, which quickly turned into, well, a map loss.
Yeah, somehow, some way. I mean, definitely, you know, as the cliche goes, a tale of two halves. And yeah, Vega Squadron looked primed to take that that first maps. Even if they didn't win the second half pistol, they were able to win that third round bye. We were thinking to ourselves, well, we're going to see 3 maps. And then, obviously, yeah, the CT side of NRG happened, I think, in large part due to, again, the usual suspects on NRG really getting into their own, starting to actually win out their duels, but also Fugly, who went from being a complete non-factor on the T side, you know, as mean that might be to say, that it was pretty much the case.
Yeah.
He went into becoming a vital part of pretty much every opening that NRG found on Mirage.
Well, yeah, I think he at least, at one point, he was 2-12.
Yeah.
And he finished 17-20. So, like,
that's a pretty significant rise in the rankings as well.
And I think everybody on that team stepped up as well. I'm pretty sure Breeze was negative going into the second half. He finished 22 and 18. Right? Yeah. I think it was just. I think Ethan may have been like almost
around
even.
it.
Like
yeah.
He was still having like his moments over on the T side. I think any of the rounds that they won were actually quite a lot down to him, but. Either way, now it's sort of like we're in a troublesome position because there's obviously the fact that now we expect NRG to take this in 2. I think that's the thing, but I've just got 2 factors. Like, one, for the old roster of this team, they were not a bad overpass team at all. Like, they managed to take some pretty good teams at the time, like G2, for example, all the way to their limits. Like the major, so it wasn't like G2 was saving anything for the next next
saving
series.
It for the next major.
It's just like. So they, in the past, they did manage to take it in. The thing is, I feel like although overpass, there's a lot of like important rotations that need to be played in. You can still play some pretty basic strategies, and I feel like it allows actually, especially on the CT side, for a lot of aggression.
And I think that's the key point, right? Like if you go back to, you know, now we're rolling back the clock a couple of years here, but if you go back to 2016, right, with the Dignitas squad that ended up winning Epicenter with Magisk and Config, they were relentless on that CT side with how they were playing aggressively. I mean, we even saw that, you know, with North at the wheels of, you know, at the hints of MSL as well, actually setting up aggressive pushes outside Monster with pop flash, etc., to clear out a lot of space for themselves, which is not something you see a lot of teams do. But you know, that's right in the wheelhouse of Vega Squadron. If they can just roam around, do as they please, pretty much on the CT side, that could be really tough for NRG to deal with. I mean, we saw, you know, tendencies of it over on the CT side for Vega on Mirage as well. I mean, Chopper, you know, when he was aggressively in mid, would always have that quick rotation whenever an AX came in.
Yeah, he flanked pretty much every single time.
Exactly, right? And that is something that NRG have to keep in mind as well going into this. One of the benefits that they do have, though, I mean, we talked about it on Mirage as well. When you play an aggressive team, normally you do fall back to a bit of a cookie-cutter default to be able to negate any sort of aggression like that. NRG plays pretty much 10 out of 10 rounds, really, as a default on their T-sides of overpass. So I think it's got to take a bit to actually surprise them in that sense. But we also see that NRG are also, you know, they could fall for the trap of just not being able to win out their duels. That's pretty much what got them into a bit of a rut. Initially on Mirage, they also had struggles from an individual point of view in their first matchup versus Vega Squadron at the very first day of Starladder on Inferno, which is where we saw go to overtime.
Yeah.
So whether it's, you know, NRG not, I guess, being into the game, you know, right from the get-go, or if it's just Vega Squadron playing them in such a unorthodox manner that makes them uncomfortable, you know, regardless of what the answer is, it still just comes out to play every time these 2 teams meet up.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to mention as well is we always talk about sort of the coach at NRG, been around for quite a while.
Yeah, I'm a bit,
In this situation, like right now, he is completely useless because he has absolutely nothing to look at. Because they have not played this map at all. So they can't have any counters, they can't have any reads. It is literally just a point of we've got to play our own game because we actually can't do anything else.
I feel like it's one of the times where we're justified to go into a post-game interview saying we just played our game, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's like,
for
that's
once.
always said, but like, in this scenario,
it's actually true.
Yeah, it's actually true because there's nothing to look at unless they are going to go back to June and just say, yeah, there was this one game they played against Fours where they lost. Like, what are you really going to get from that? That was probably one of the puggiest matches of Counter-Strike you will ever see in your life. So, and even if you go back, then you have to look all the way back to January to get like a serious match played out of this team. Don't even have 2 of the same players anymore. Yeah. So it really is just like, that's the one sort of thing that I'm looking at with this roster on Vega Squadron is that NRG, they can't do anything other than just be like, okay, we're better, let's just beat them.
Yeah, I guess that's where the way they finished off Mirage is going to be a positive for Energy. Obviously, taking the W is the biggest one, but the fact that everyone seemingly got into it over on that CT side. So in terms of just feeling confident in their individual abilities going into this, that should be, you know, in the right place. There's no reason for any one of these players to doubt themselves in terms of going up against the likes of Huchi, JR, or Tony Black, right? As well as they've been playing.
Yeah.
So we'll see what it comes out to, though. But obviously, if we're being realistic, this should be Energy taking it in a pretty convincing manner.
Yeah.
I've said that before, though.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to see, though, how, like, especially Vega Squadron on the T side, because I think that although this map has a lot of strategy enabled, like, I think I love watching teams like Astralis where they just have, like, nade stacks and all of these different smokes enabling them to get different positions on the site. You really can fall into some pretty basic strategies. I always enjoyed watching, like, the old G2 with, like, screaming it on this map, because they would just run into bomb sites, pop heads, and win rounds. I think they actually managed to win the first season of ECS doing something like that, where they went into, I think it was actually against, like, Luminosity, who were just expected to win that map. It wasn't even, like, thought about, and they just went in with, like, the most individualistic style ever and managed to win themselves the grand finals. So it's definitely possible, just not probable. Like, that's the thing. Like, NRG are going into this as heavy, heavy favorites. I would be very surprised if the odds weren't firmly in their favor. The fact is, though, I'd like to at least hint at the idea that maybe there's a storyline there for Vega.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can never really discount, you know, an opponent going into this kind of a level, you know, in CS tournaments. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. If you want to go back to, you know, Cinderella stories basically unfolding in front of your eyes, you have QBF's run, right, at the major to qualify for Legend spot, right? I mean, they lost that deciding game versus Mouse Sports. The first half, I think it was something like 13-2 or something. But then they come back and win 14-1 in the second half. Just, I mean, teams can have meltdowns and players can shine to the occasion or rise to the occasion, right? So even though you have all the odds stacked against you, you still have to play the game. You still have to get through it.
I actually own a Quick jersey from QB Fire. Yeah, he gave it to me. Like, so literally, like, around that time, he'd given it to me just, I think, a tournament or so before. And then they go and do that at the major. So I'm just like, and this is never leaving my wall.
I believed in them from the first moment I saw them.
Oh, like, the biggest lie ever told.
Oh, no, I mean, had to try to play it off, right?
That was called the tournament where pretty much everybody's pick'ems were just wrecked by QB5. And they relished that as well. You know that they did when everybody put them 0 and 3 twice. And then it still just went all the way through all the qualifiers and everything and just managed to beat teams that they never should have beaten. I will say, though, that the Mouse Sports thing on Train, they seem to do that way too often, where they're just like up by a ridiculous margin and then lose or almost lose. Like Sprout almost did it to them again at this tournament where, what was that? Like
16-14, and they won 12-3, I think, in the first half. Looked really, really good. We were thinking like, okay, yeah, this is, you know, same Mouse Sports that won ESL New York just a week ago. But then the second half happened.
Well, I remember it was a qualifier, I think, for the first New York, and I think it was between them and Envy. And they did exactly the same thing, where they were 12-3
Oh, yeah,
up.
on Train as well,
Yeah, and they then lost that game. I think there was like a happy ninja defuse in the middle. So, yeah, crazy things have happened. A lot of them involve Mouse Sports. But
again, I mean, as much as we're trying to find a storyline for Vega Squadron, Energy haven't really been in scenarios where they've had to choke, I guess, which is kind of an awkward.
If anything, they've been the one causing upsets.
Yeah, like exactly, right.
They've StarSeries before when they managed to get all the way to the
finals, versus Navi, where again they fell short in a pretty convincing manner. But again, they've constantly had that role as an underdog, or that up and coming team that you can allow to have issues on the way there. Now, though, as you know, Mouse Sports went out in groups and so on, Energy are the clear-cut favorite into. Obviously the semifinals, and if they were to make it to a finals, they would be the favorites going up against ENCE as well.
Yeah, I think along the way we've sort of seen, like, I think there were, obviously, I think for Hellraisers being one of the like longest standing rosters, I expected a lot more from them. I think them bottoming out in groups was really surprising. I think
Fragsters making it through was pretty impressive. I mean, we've seen a lot of upsets in that sense here at this and so forth, but that's also part of the fun of it, right? Like, you can't take anything for granted. Every time there's a team, sat at home while, a team like Hellraisers are going to a major or other tournaments and so on and, battling it about, someone is at home, in their laboratory concocting some sort of mixture to make them a more competitive team, and you see it come to life in tournaments like this. So for NRG, they've kind of gone past that phase right now where they're experimenting, they're becoming a budding team that you can look forward to now becoming a contender for tournaments.
Well, the other good thing as well is they're a team that they're exciting to watch at the actual events, like versus like top tier opposition. But they're also really good at online qualifiers.
Oh, they're excellent.
So it's one of those things where it's like a lot of the times when you have a team that is good online, they really suck at like the online stage.
Hello,
so
VP and Gambit.
Yeah,
like,
even Na'Vi, even Na'Vi have been in that sort of loop. Now, obviously, they get all the invites, but there was always time. Like I believe even with ECS this season, they failed to qualify.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
So, like, with online qualifiers, there are teams that you want to have at your LAN events that just suck. But for some reason, like, NRG are just superb.
I mean,
like,
that's how they started making a name for themselves, right? If you go back to the last seasons of both ECS and Pro League, right? They were undefeated for the better part of the season.
Well, even then, they only lost one in Pro League, I believe. I think it was 17-1 or something like that.
It's something absolutely ridiculous. And first, when you start off that way, because it's an online league, it's a bit of in that lull of other tournaments going on, or they haven't made enough of an impact to actually get invites to these tournaments at that point. You're thinking to yourself like, well, it's online Counter-Strike. It's not gonna. They're not gonna be as competitive once they get to LAN. But they've actually been surprisingly good. I mean, outside of the bit of a snafu at the major qualifiers, I'd say that NRG have lived up to or exceeded expectations at every turn, really, which is super fun to see because, I mean, it kind of goes back to how their built as well. Daps has done a really good job of building a solid fundamental way of playing and approaching Counter-Strike and actually have players who have bought into that as well. I think we see a very different Ethan now than what he was in CLG, right? Like, he is definitely gotten into his own and probably just really just seen the value of being a part of a team in that sense as well. And
well, yeah, I think every player in this team is either being given an opportunity or has been like, in a way, the last, like a piece thrown out from another team.
Yeah.
Like Fugly was definitely someone who, coming into this team, I would say it didn't look too good for him. And then in this team, he's flourished. I think he's been excellent.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
he fits his role very well.
Considering, if you look at one of the initial Liquid lineups, right, that had both NAF and Fugly in them, when they go out from that, you're thinking to yourself like, well, these guys are never going to see any success at the same level ever again. Didn't take as long for NAF, but he did go the route of Renegades, obviously having to again be given the stage to shine really before he got his opportunities. Obviously now back in Liquid doing extremely well for himself. Fugly took a bit more time to get to that point. And yeah, sometimes when you look at players making these kind of roster changes or getting left out of teams and so on, you think to yourself like, well, they're going to find an okay team that's going to be in, be it Pro League or ECS, but they're never going to do anything more than that. This is kind of just their retirement home in a sense.
I would say, if I'm honest, this Vega team has actually surprised me more than anything because when they lost Mir, especially, like I think Cassandra was a loss, but I actually commented one of their first matches back. I think it may have even been in the qualifier for this because obviously a lot happened since then.
Yeah.
But so that's why obviously I think in terms of teams being invited, well, they've got to the semi-final. They got one of the late invites because a few teams dropped out. But like, I remember commentating a game where it was they not only had their coach playing, but then Chopper's internet went down halfway through the match, and they then had their manager who was coaching at that point because the coach was playing.
Okay, yeah.
So they had the manager, the coach. They had Crush, who just joined the team. They then had a stand-in who I think at the time was Tony Black, who then joined the team later on.
Yeah, it was on a trial basis.
And so they only had one member of the actual team playing, and I think it was JR. And it was just the most ludicrous match ever, and they almost, the thing is, I believe they actually came pretty close to winning, which was really frustrating. But there was like a 40-minute pause in there, and I was like, this team's dead. Like, it has to just fall apart. But the pieces they picked up seem to actually fill in quite well. The other thing as well is this is another team where online qualifiers for them doesn't seem to go very well. That's why we don't see them at any other events. Like, that's why we sort of talk of them as a major team. It's because they had that sort of spot to go into the major qualifier directly. They then play well the major qualifier. They get that spot again. They're going to do the same thing again. But when you actually talk about them in online qualifiers, I think the biggest problem is they come up against a lot of teams like them.
Yeah,
They just play this crazy aim-heavy style of play, and they end up getting knocked out by, say, someone like Team Spirit or someone like that.
Yeah, and again, that's not not a knock at Team Spirit, but
No,
yeah, you definitely favor if those two were to go up against each other in an offline environment, you'd go with Vega every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, perfect showcase of that is I think their last match that they had before Starladder was in a qualifier.
Well, was one of the. They played at the major qualifier, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. But like even right before, I think they played the CIS qualifier for Epicenter, and they lost to Monolith. 0-2 in a best of 3. And I highly doubt we'd see Monolith having the same kind of success as Vega Squadron has had so far at Starladder. But here we go. Into the pistol round of map number 2, Overpass, and Breezy has already gotten off to a hot start.
Yeah, so a strong start in the pistol, taking that man down in mid. Now, obviously, you normally see this sort of stack in towards the B site, and you have that man peeking out to get you information. The information found by JR is someone shot me in the face. And while the bomb is going to be going down, nothing the CTs can do about that. Their rotation has already come in. They've got a kit still in play and a flashbang to try and pop their way back into the site. Through the wall, they've seen the gun. And well, that will give Cirque another kill. Already looking pretty bleak as they lose the man flanking in as well in the form of Crush. It seems that NRG have just shut this down. A very good pistol round. Nice shot from Hutchie at least. It gives him a sort of opportunity to try and peek back in. He's looking for Ethan up close. The fact is, though, the bomb is now ticking very fast, and it will be Ethan to, in fact, clean up both. Great pistol round coming out from the T side. And while the aggression, I think we actually saw very early in the round, the CT's trying to aggress onto B short. Yeah. But the fact is, by that point, the T's had already run right onto that A site.
Yeah, Breezy finding that early frag onto JR kind of sets the initial plan for Vega Squadron out of whack. Still lots of rounds to be played, but you'd have to imagine Energy, they feel like they can go about business as intended at this point on. They are coming into this as heavy favorites. Let's see though what kind of a defense Vega can actually muster up when they get to weapons.
See JR saving a little bit of money, but they're going to go through with the pistol. Almost a second. But Tony Black does only manage to find one. He pushes in towards the site and should just be able to clean things up. But actually, Crush has found a trade, and that's one of the rifles down on the floor. The T's can't really do too much to defend it. They're going to try and hold it from Monster, and Cirque actually has held off the push from Hutchie to retrieve that AK. JR looking to try and hit a timing here, but it seems like Ethan is more than aware of the potential of this push. And well, it will be all left on to Crush. 1 versus 3.
He's got a Mac-10 though.
Oh, go on, switch to it. It's the Vega Squadron weapon.
He's still new, you know? Still rather new into the lineup.
I just like the idea that they're like screaming at him.
It's like, the Mac-10.
Use the Mac-10! I am your in-game leader. Listen to me.
Right now, there's some sour comments going around. It's like, he didn't use the Mac-10. Like, is he even the right fit?
Kick him.
Literally a clutch or kick moment right there. But in any case, Energy are going to get their second round. Even though it started a little bit iffy for them, they managed to get things right and back into balance. And no real investment for Vega Squadron this time around.
What's your opinion on the MP5?
I actually haven't been able to play around with it too much, but so I can't tell if, just from, on paper, if it's a better option over the UMP and what have you, or if it's just kind of a feel thing. Again, because it's fairly new, it could still be a second nostalgia, right? Teams being really into the MP5. Obviously, it was a pretty staple weapon of previous iterations of the game. But again, if it has the right feel to it, you don't really care that much if it does, 3
like
less damage or something to that effect. If you feel like you control it better, you got a good grip of how the recoil works and everything, then it's a sensible choice to go for.
But it's like with mouse sports, for example. They've always been using the MP7.
Yeah, it's Chris J obviously being a connoisseur.
But it's like, other than that, a lot of the time, people just weren't really buying that gun. Yeah. And then obviously it got reduced a little bit in price, so people were sort of like more inclined. But he was using it just all the time. It was just his weapon.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get that. MP7 was my weapon of choice until they lowered the cost of the UMP to the point where I feel like it wasn't responsible of me to not buy it.
Ooh.
And yeah,
not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can't be surprised about that. I mean, Vega did have the I guess they were given the benefit of the doubt going into Mirage, at least early on. After winning the pistol and everything, they had a little bit of odds going in their favor. But yeah, right now it is really NRG's game to lose, and they've gotten off to the start that they need as well. But JR, he's quick on the trigger finger, finds Fugly, and I think that's what you have to do in the case of Vega. We talked about how NRG, for the better part of playing overpass, whenever they have a buy round, it's going to be the default. It's going to be 2 players down towards underpass. It's going to be 1 player over towards B, and 2 others just kind of hanging out, oftentimes Breeze +1 in that playground area. But if you're Vega, you kind of need to disrupt that. You don't want to let a team as good as NRG get forward positioning, and Breezy is going to alleviate some pressure. And JR's in a really awkward position here to get caught out once he moves away from that long peak.
Got to be very careful here in a slight movement, and I think Dabs is going to get him anyway. We'll find a first into the site, the second as well onto Crush, and well, now the rotation just seems almost impossible. And the fact is they were already taking some sort of heavy risks in this round. They had a couple of SMGs, purchasing up extra utility. All of it's been expended. Clearly they're trying to, that's how they're trying to hold down the B site, is just expend as much utility as humanly possible. The fact is though, when it came into A, nothing really left, and it will be left just to try and hold on to these SMGs. Fact is, though, I think it was more just Tony Black being completely caught out. I think he spotted the man so far down, but he had no idea that Breezy was so close.
Yep. But it was safe for at least another 3-4 seconds. Ethan is actually going to go on a bit of a hunt. He's going to find Fuji eventually. A little bit staggered, but end result is the same. Maybe Chopper could be able to find at least 1 kill if Dabs swings out. We're just going to be able to stay alive. Yeah, not the ideal start for Vega Squadron, but again, I think the initial move from JR there, playing aggressively, seeing if it can find an opening, that's definitely the way to go off. And you talked about how, you know, from the standpoint of a coach, I'm a Pet is not going to be able to contribute too much in terms of what Vega Squadron do on this map, but for Vega, you know, Fierce being their coach, he's going to have a ton of information and a ton of maps to go off of in terms of what NRG do. And NRG don't really change up too much what they do here on Overpass either. As you can see, same setup once again. And the reason why they're doing it is because obviously they've found so much success. And I mean, if an opponent can't actually deal with what you're throwing at them, then there's no real reason for you to start mixing things up.
Yeah, it's like the old VP mentality.
Yeah.
Just the plow. Just keep doing the same thing again and again until you stop us. And even then, we'll probably do it again just to see if we can break you back. Yeah, exactly. And, well, that was how they managed to win so many games and even pull back ridiculous games just by almost repetitive strain put into your opponent.
There's something about that, you know, when VP played Cash, that mid-take they would do, you know it was coming, but you couldn't do anything about it. That's really what NRG are on Overpass right now. So decided to fall a little bit back as Tony goes on a bit of an adventure into the jaws of Fugly. And that's really going to be the key thing, I think, throughout the CT half for Vega. I don't see them playing a game where they play extremely passively on both sides and rely on crossfires and that kind of a thing to get them into it. I think it's going to have to be these ventures out and about on the map and see if they can find lucky timings to work their way.
For an ult to be picked up, obviously Breezy is going to be fighting that one. The problem is now the clock's actually getting a little bit low, although the CTs have both gambled over towards the B side. So Ethan's going to have a bit of a nasty surprise. He will walk in, still manages to get the kill. And I actually would quite like to see Archie turn back around, just try and take that AK away, get himself something going into the next round and just save it, because he's not going to win this. Doesn't matter though. Ethan just executes him, puts him down, and 5-0, 4 players surviving. Look at the money already over on the T side. Ludicrous.
13,000. Yeah.
He hasn't died.
He actually hasn't. He has 7-0.
Reverse James Bond.
What even are you then?
I don't know.
Just really good at the game, I guess.
Maybe if he's like a secret service, maybe that's like a mass murder or something. You just got like, you go.
Well, to be fair, I mean, he is kind of on a bit of a killing spree. JR again, let's see if he can find anything, but instead of finding the first opening, this time around, NRG stays alive with all players.
Yeah, it looked like they were just prepared for that. Threw the Molotov down. They did that in the previous, and he peeked into it, so they just didn't face. So if you want to stand in the Molotov, you can stand in the Molotov. We just won't take the fight. However, JR now is going to be watching. will still find the opener. So he is doing work, at least in these aggressive positions with the AWP.
That's one thing he's relentless with as well. He's not going to shy away if his first attempt at aggression fails. He's not going to pull back immediately. He's going to stick around until he gets some sort of result, even if it is his own death. But you can tell that Vega has an idea of how NRG likes to set up these defaults, at least.
Still though, it's the second time that they've had the man advantage and somebody's gone for a re-peek, tried to take another fight, and NRG are just waiting. They're waiting for these pushes. However, Tony Black on the other side of the map will be able to find another kill back. The boost over the top has a chance to open up this round. If that smoke fades away, not enough. The clock's starting to burn a little bit low now for NRG. They do look to head in towards his B-side. Great Molotov to force Crush off the angle and into the open. He's going to be left in a crossfire. One kill will come in. Chopper's there as well. And Fugly, he will fall in turn. It is going to be 5-1. Vega Squadron get themselves onto the board. Question is, can they keep themselves there? Because even if they win this next round, they've still got buys coming up against them.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's going to be a situation where if NRG actually run out of the bank that they've built for themselves, the loss bonus is going to be in place. So they're going to be able to buy up regardless, which is a pretty sweet spot to be in as a T side. And again, for Vega, like their money's just going to get thinned out. Probably, you know, you would assume that NRG mounts some sort of a resistance into this. It's not going to be like Vega wins out with 5 players alive each and every time. Here we go, though. Ethan's gotten control over short early on. This is also going to be fun to watch, whether or not Vega, obviously, probably not the most practiced team on this map. Tony, actually going to be able to find Ethan. That's a nice get. That's pretty much all the pressure towards the B area of the map gone. JR also doing a good job working around balloons right now. Will eventually get found out. And actually, meanwhile, Fugly's pushed aggressively. No, Breezy, I mean, he's found Chopper on the A-bomb site.
Again, an advantage for Vega Squadron, quickly falling back. I think the problem they have is that everybody's being so aggressive that when they find the picks, they actually don't have the room to fall back in towards the side. It looked like Chopper wanted to try and help his teammate in the form of JR, and that actually ends up putting them back in a detrimental position. Rotation looking to begin. Crush manages to catch Cert with his pants down. He hits the dink, but so does Breezy. Leaves it into this 2 versus 2. Now they've got to watch out because there is a flank coming in the form of Hutchie, and he will be able to drop the man with the bomb. Breezy left, surely will go down, and wow, second round for Vega Squadron, but as said, they still haven't broken NRG just yet.
Yeah, they haven't, but they're doing a pretty damn good job of getting to that point at least. And for me, though, again, it's going to be like mid-round decision-making from Vega Squadron. That's going to be really interesting to see if they're willing to, or if they figure out that they can't necessarily get initial map control or deny it from NRG. If they have, you know, set pop flashes and whatnot on different parts of the map. We saw Ethan being the one to control short area pretty early on. If they're always going to have some sort of a go-to move on the side of Vega to be able to flush that out, get that control back early on. Especially if NRG are going to be so happy to just leave a sole player over towards that bomb site, which is pretty typical for overpass as well. And that's where we need to see what Vega has in store. But as you said, still going to be a bit of an uphill battle. NRG are going to be able to buy up once more.
Yeah, still flawless purchasing for them. Although the CTs, they're in a similar position. Crush will be left onto an SMG, but ultimately not going to be the biggest deal in the world. And we even wonder if JR probably could have bought him a rifle if they really wanted to drop down on that extra utility. And we are going to see some aggression coming out from JR once again. I believe he threw the Molotov in towards that sort of ramp area so that the Ts can't take that control initially. Yeah. But he hasn't actually faced off of it, which, if anything, is just going to waste a lot of time for NRG because he has been so aggressive in the last few rounds. They're probably going to expect him to be aggressive again.
Yeah. You can see this is pretty much the way NRG are going to go about it. Every time they want to move forward on the map, it's going to be through underpass. The 2 players who are stacked up towards playground, they're not going to move really out before they've gotten any sort of go-ahead sign from that duo. Now, though, they've gotten the initial part of the map that they want. Still, Vega has yet to fall back to the bomb site, and JR is going to be able to find Daps. Again, opening in favor of Vega. And this time, no trade, actually. be able to stabilize a bit here.
Yeah, JR has been very good at finding these opening picks over the last few rounds. I don't think there's been a round actually when he's had this AWP when they haven't got a pick, so could be the game changer. Even looking to try and switch up his position a little bit here. May want to go back over towards that B site, especially with the bomb now rotating into that position. Only 30 seconds left on the clock as well. The T's leaving that clock pretty damn low. And with already multiple players over towards that monster spot, it's not going to be easy for them to clear. Rotation coming back in, the aggression from Tony Black is also going to give them the alarm bells that it is going to be this B side. They have everything ready and set. Hutchie manages to find himself one. There is JR on the cross, and the read is perfect from the CT side. They shut down the aggression, and finally they shut out that economy as well.
Took some time for Vega to quite get to that point, but they finally managed to pull through. I mean, they're looking potentially at equalizing the entire game here, getting to 5-5. It's definitely doable. I mean, yes, NRG will be able to buy getting into the next round, but this is a pretty impressive showing so far from Vega Squadron. Again, being able to find these opening picks off the back of JR. It's doing wonders for them. He's not going to stop anytime soon. Again, the underpass being the name of the game for NRG, even on pistols. Having invested into CZs and Kevlar. Actually, you have Tech 9 on the hands of Breezy as well. See what they can get done here.
Yeah, I think they're actually going to try and overwhelm JR, just picking up the pace over towards this A site. Molotovs will go down. They're going to try and run through them, and Tony Black is doing his best. Nade attempted to be dunked over, and he is actually holding down these players. Actually wins the duel. Breezy managing to just bait out the shots. Daps will find another. They're trying to at least make this costly, and actually there's a few low players now. Luckily, Crush will be there to finish things off, and it won't be too bad for Vega Squadron in terms of making money, but it's still got a little bit dicey.
Got a little bit dicey there, yeah. Especially when you see JR's in a position where he can very easily get caught out. Luckily, though, both him and Tony making use of the utility that they had, basically carpeting the entire stairs full of flames, not allowing NRG to actually get up there. So, 4 rounds to the name of Vega pretty early on in the half. This is much better than what I would have expected. And again, not going to be an off to actually rival JR here. It's going to be Tony set up for the initial push here. And you can tell very far back positioning from NRG and underpass this time around.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be more interested to see the T side. Well, I'm going to get cut off here because, of course, there's more aggression coming out from Crush. Hutchie, he's not happy that he lost the teammate, so he's going to go and push in to try and trade it. Daps, however, finds Tony Black in the meantime. It's going to be pushed back in. He expects him to have fallen back. I don't know why at this point. That's not in the Vega code. The strat book never says fall back. It's going to be into a 3v3.
Like the one team that is unbound the S key.
Yeah. W only.
Well, it's finding them a lot of success here as of late. 4 rounds in a row for Vega. Issue here, though, is that you can tell no utility left on the CT side. Meanwhile, on NRG, they have everything they could wish for pretty much to set up for an execute, but they might actually just go for the walk play here, the contact in towards Monster. I think it's only Hoochie right now defending this B bomb site, so he needs to come up big.
He's going to see the Molotovs falling in. Will call for the rotation from his teammates. Still needs to find a kill here at least. He's just going to try and hold on to things. Chopper from the heavens actually falls in the meantime, and Hutchie still trying to do the damage on the side. The quick rotation from JR, though, may be able to help him out, but he can't span through. Hutchie may just do it on his own, but Cirque there to trade. And JR just trying to sneak his way in towards the site. I think they've just passed each other, and he will find the shot. Impact frag is just in the name for JR at the moment as he equalizes the scoreline. And it's now 5 in a row for the side of Vega.
5 in a row. So, well, NRG get a bomb plan and loss bonus, so no issues buying up. But what a round from Hoochie there. As you said, start out aggressively and don't exactly find the trade that they would have liked, so Hoochie sticks around to find Daps as well. It's 2 to his name, and then being able to stay alive over that, over towards that B bomb side, especially with Chopper going down. At that point, you're kind of just of a, you know, you're just fresh meat for energy moving up towards that bomb site. But staying alive for that long, finding 2 more kills. using that smoke, that energy you've put down to the best of your usage, really sets Hoochie apart in that round.
The thing I am worried about is the T side, though. I think that will be the biggest factor for Vega Squadron, because you sort of lose what is Vega Squadron, which is the fact that they play their CT side like a T side.
Yeah.
And it's just so aggressive that it catches people off guard. Whereas if they do the aggressive strategies over on the T side, it's going to be expected for NRG. It's like, oh, they're going to try and rush Monster. Like, it's one of the most standard strategies in this map. So that's where they'll be really tested. Right now, though, like, the aggression's getting out of hand. They're pushing all the way past the fountain. 2 of them, in fact. They boosted over the wall to kill a guy in the playground. Like, who plays Counter-Strike like this? Just sheer aggression. They had the confidence to boost. Like, they didn't even know someone could have passed or just pushed the ramp. But that's just the Vega Squadron way. I'd like to see that after this round is done. But here we go. It's pushing into the site, running through the smoke. Hutchie still here, ready and waiting, Cirque, unaware that there's a man still by the pillar. Ethan and Daps looking to try and turn this back. The bomb on the site and the Molotov will obscure them, at least for now. This allows further rotations to come in from Vega Squadron. But they will be able to get that bomb down. Now Daps has the important job of trying to defend this. Looking like they're going to go for another boost, the second of the round. But they won't be able to spot anything yet. Ethan's actually going to get taken down by JR. And now Daps left into a 1 versus 3 clutch. He's got 3 Vega Squadron players pushing into his position. He finds the first, gets the headshot onto Tony Black. Crush looking to round the corner, but he's in the headshot angle. He finds the second as well. JR looking to push back in with the AWP, but he's just baiting him out. Daps gets him down to just 18 HP, and he'll win the clutch. 1v3, Daps saves them and stops the streak of round for Vega Squadron.
And what an unlikely round for NRG to win out there. Everything was going in the way of Vega. They were getting picks left and right. Again, the aggressive boost to start things off. I mean,
who boosts that way? Like, it's normally the other team boosting on top of the slide or something like that. But no, they've decided to boost. I still can't believe they did that.
For a team that hasn't been playing overpass, you kind of start to think maybe they should have. Because they seem to have a lot of tricks up their sleeves.
The thing is, though, if there's anybody watching like anywhere near ramp, that doesn't work. They're both dead. But it's just like they managed to like thread the needle straight through. I genuinely don't know how that worked. But
oh man.
Hey.
And the word, like, this is the sad part for Vega. I mean, for the 5 rounds they managed to mount together, 1 round loss. And they're back to pistols, up on JR, but only really weapon that you have to supplement that is Chopper on an MP9. Just took such a hell of a beating. Daps again just coming in with a massive clutch. He did that yesterday versus North as well. Twice, actually. That could be what really just sets things out of control for Vega. Right now, somewhat spread. 2 players over towards long, not in the classic bait and switch setup. Fortunately for them, nobody from Energy really moving over towards that part of the map. They've set their eyes onto B. They still have some utility, and 1 Molotov left as well. No nades, so we can't see any synchronized nade tosses coming in from Energy.
25 seconds left on the clock. They're just running out of time. They're even looking like they're going to try and switch this back. But Chopper, he's ready and waiting. He's already going to find himself one. They really have got such low time on the clock. I don't even think they're going to have enough time for a plant. They've got to go running straight on towards the site. If anybody gets here, JR's got the AWP. All he has to do is hit the man going for the plant, but they've just about managed to cross. Fugly's going to get that plant down with seconds to spare. That was ridiculously close, but there's still a chance they turn it anyway. Back into a 2 versus 2. They've got the AWP still in the hands of JR. Hutchie still only has a pistol, but it's left just on to Fugly, and they're going to take this round away. NRG, they made massive mistakes in this one, and instead they're going to be the ones with the broken economy.
Again, it's hard to kind of pinpoint how that all comes about, but yeah, Energy, for once not playing your standard default, lose out on map control. Chopper's in an ideal position to get that initial frag as they move up from underpass, and they cut time so short for no real reason. If you're Energy, I mean, you've had everything at your disposal that entire time. That could be actually a part of them not feeling comfortable walking around the map, considering how aggressive Vega have been. So they like to stick together. At least that gives them the option of trading. But Man alive. Vega are just fighting with nails and claws right now.
Wow, tactical pause. I think that's needed.
Yeah.
For NRG. Like, things are getting a little bit out of control. That round was like mostly pistols and AWP and an MP9, and they managed to steal it away.
Question is, what are they going to identify as being the error here? Is the fact that they gave up map control, or is it going to be the fact that they didn't, they left the time running down so far that that's what puts them into a bit of a jam?
Well, I think I genuinely believe the Vega Squadron have actually got in their heads. Because it seems to be now that they're taking so long to like clear a lot of positions, and they are leaving a lot of map control sort of open. And then it comes down, they're expecting some sort of push. And then when it doesn't come, they have no time left. Like, it's happened a few times where they're getting down to that 30-second mark and nothing has happened. And then it goes back to a round like this, where now Tony Black's just going sheer aggressive into the connector spot, taking fights. The T's are going to try and overwhelm him, but he's actually managed to smoke them off into the corner. Gives a bit of a one-way to Fugly, but he doesn't get the pick, and well, the CTs are just going to go running away, or so it seems. Chopper, he's playing with his opponents a little bit here as he remains. The second AWP also in. Ooh, missed shot from Hutchie. He's actually going to be overwhelmed because of it. Now, they still have to watch out for Chopper, who's now just going to come in as one of the team. Sprays down two. The third will not fall as Ethan hits one with the AWP and almost the second. Doesn't manage to clear the spot, and the bomb is going to be going down. NRG now looking to try and win a round with what is almost nothing. Push back in from Crush, though. He's got very close to these players. They're trying to hold in towards this spot. Now, he actually has a kit. He's just going to go straight for the defusal. They've got to try and spray on towards this bomb. He's just going to stick it all the way through. And Vega Squadron, well, it came close, but they won the round anyway.
Right when it looks like NRG are going to be able to bring one back, they're getting down the bomb plant, actually having weapons to play with as well. All you need is a diffuse kit and a smoke to overcome adversity. Crush just coming in big there. Obviously very tough for JR as well to put himself in a position where he can potentially actually hold off anyone trying to aggress onto Crush in that kind of a situation. One miss, and that's a golden opportunity for NRG to really solidify the round. As we said, though, NRG do get a lot out of a round where they invested not that much. We're going to see, though, if they've actually learned anything. They've started to get an understanding of what Vega are doing, but 7 out of the last 8 rounds have gone in the favor of the CTs.
Well, Vega Squadron definitely showing that, well, maybe they could be playing overpass. If it's not one in their map pool, maybe it's about to be.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like a secret pick that they were keeping, even from
all the way to the
major. Like, even from the major, they didn't even want to do it then.
Yeah, needed the home crowd to really bust it out.
But they do. Look at this, the timing there. Daps has got to be so tilted from that, just facing the wrong way. He was about to boost up Cirque. He almost gets 2 and probably should have done. JR now going to go back. Why not? A little bit more aggression, but he loses the battle. Breezy will now turn it into a 4 versus 3. Crush on the site has a whole lot to do as the peak comes back round. He will end the life of the low player and hits the dink onto the second, giving at least a chance. And look, both players coming in on the flank. They're not going to expect it. Leaves it in a 2v2. The bomb yet to be planted. Now, they may just go rotating over towards the B site. It's the smart play to make. I don't know if they knew that both players were actually behind them, but at least now they will. It gives them that setup on towards B instead. Now, there is still a kit onto Hutchie and a tiny bit of utility in the form of the flashbang. But look at Fugly's spot. He's just going to wait patiently. He's low, but he still manages to find one. It is the trade. Leaves it onto Ethan. The 1 versus 1, but he's taken a strong position. He's also looking to try and get him from behind. He will even be able to wrap in towards that heaven spot, and that's going to be very difficult now. It depends, though. Is Chopper going to be able to defuse the bomb without him actually seeing it? He's given away that spot. He's just going to try and stick it. This is ballsy as hell. Not even defusing anymore. He was just still looking down at the ground. And in the end, Ethan will finish it. A very close one once again. But scoreline equalized.
That's like some next level stuff out of Chopper. Seems like if it's intentional or not, obviously we can only speculate. But, actually just holding his player model still to the point where Ethan's maybe thinking to himself, like, okay, I can commit to this fully because he's not moving. Which I'm not sure if is to be advised.
But if that's the case, wouldn't you just keep defusing? Because he's still looking at the same angle.
Exactly.
So I think he just I don't think he realized he took it off the bomb. I think that's all it was.
I guess if he does, he can't actually go back on it because obviously that's going to give
tap
away.
again. Yeah.
Odd situation, and NRG finally win one back. So they could potentially close out this half with a win. 8-7. All things considered, with how it started spiraling out of control, you have to be okay with that if you're NRG.
Yeah, and 7 rounds on the T side. Potentially 8, although that's a pretty damn good trade. In fact, all it was multiple kills going the way of the CT side. However, there's been a couple back. So it's not the end of the world.
As is tradition with Vega.
They have managed to find an AK, though. All in all, not bad. Chopper definitely a man who can take rounds into his own hands. He's 12 and 10 at the moment, top of the board for his team.
He's got Kevlar as well to his name. Aim punch not going to be a factor. And right now, I mean, if you talk about not having map control, this is definitely a case of that being an issue for NRG. Dabs. JR taking his time, but making sure it counts.
The Zipix position. Never forget that clutch, but ultimately it doesn't actually give too much away. They're going to go pushing in, and Chopper's just ready and waiting. I don't know why we're watching JR, but we are. And Breezy is going to try and push in towards that site. It's 8-7. Again, that's another round where they have almost nothing and still managed to win a round.
Yeah, I think it started out with 5.7s.
I think they had one MP9.
Okay, yeah.
I think that was the only other weapon that they had.
But it was definitely not a round that you're expecting to win if you're Vega. I guess, well, if you're Vega, you're expecting to win those rounds, but all his mortals kind of see that going the way of NRG. But there you have it, 8-7 NRG. Yeah, reeling a little bit. They're in for a bit of a matchup as we are about to head into the second half. But first, we're going to take a 90-second commercial, and we'll be right back with you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, into what will be, well, what so far has been quite a surprising map of Overpass. 8 rounds coming in for Vega Squadron after being 5-0 down on a map that they have not played as a roster together.
Yeah, I mean,
officially.
Nothing really makes sense at this point. And I guess it's the same kind of a story as we went into the second half with on in Mirage as well. Vega have just been surprisingly good here. Really giving it to NRG. And with the start that the NRG had on their T side, you could have very easily understood if Vega just felt like this is out of our control, we can't do anything more about it, and we're just going to lay down and die.
Yeah, but well, basically like a fish out of water.
Yeah, yeah, shark out of water, obviously. But that hasn't happened, has it? I mean, this shark is kind of just transformed. I don't know, does freshwater sharks exist? I mean, if they don't, Vega kind of just turn into one. Like they morphed into something.
Legs.
Exactly. They can do anything at this point.
Well, now we get the real challenge, though. Do they have the stones to close this one out on the T side? It's definitely not going to be an easy task, and I think this is where we saw them, well, really dwindle even on Mirage, which is pretty much their bread and butter. So going into a map which they do not play, you expect those T-sides to be weaker. The boost in play, but actually, Breezy takes the majority of the damage there, down to just 2 HP. And the T's, that's it. They don't fancy taking that fight anymore. They're just going to go back up and hope that that's baited some sort of rotation away.
Yeah. Hasn't really. It's still that defense of Ethan and Cirque over towards 8. There's a smoke and a Molotov down here, though. That's going to be used to pretty much close off any angles towards bank. Also get a Molotov probably on top of Optimus in order to get a pretty safe bomb plant down.
45 seconds. Push will be coming in towards this A site. Ethan is there, and Cirque's actually playing a bit of an anti-flash in the corner. There are no flashbangs to be had. Ethan looking for these fights, but Chopper's just come bouncing through, looking for that plant, and actually nobody's going to be stopping him. It's come back into favor now. Daps falls to Crush, and it's left onto just 2. Breeze already low, and well, he's the only one left. 2 HP to try and turn this round, and it's not going to be happening. Vega, they win themselves the second pistol and get that strong start on the T side.
Yeah, so a bit of a change in tide. I mean, when we saw the comeback on the side of NRG on Mirage, that was off the back of a pistol round when I'm actually being able to convert a couple of rounds. Vega, though, off to a great start. Crush having incredible impact that round. He's the one who actually dinked Breezy down to 2 HP as well to start things off, and he follows it up with some pretty nifty shots here. Also
stopped because the man running forward there, the first kill he gets, was actually looking to deny the plant. So
exactly.
Defending his teammate, doing the job nicely. I feel like you just don't want to go for plays like that versus Vega Squadron. Going for those boosts, they're so clinical with their aim. Obviously, this round we've seen a slight save coming out from NRG, not investing everything. They want to make sure they have the full utility going into their buy rounds. That's where they feel most comfortable. But it does mean that those high SMG investments can make some money. Nice shot from Cirque. Will actually drop the AK to the floor, although I imagine that will very quickly be retrieved.
Very likely that NRG going to come out of this with any sort of new weapons. They might actually just opt to hold on to these deals that they have to their names. Obviously, they don't have Kevlar, so it's not like it's a massive monetary loss. But again, you're denying any chance of either Crush or Hoochie to actually make some more bank with those SMGs to their name. And that could potentially come in big as we go later into the game. I mean, it's with 3 deagles, you could still do a significant amount of damage going into the next round. It's not like you're dependent on Kevlar to make those bullets fly. There we go, though. Easy round for Vega Squadron. Getting off to the perfect start here in the second half, and must be kind of a nice feeling to not have to fight uphill for once.
See, the other thing I'm thinking about in terms of just overpass as a map is, so if we haven't seen Vega Squadron until the major. They didn't really play even any like online stuff, and the only matches they ever played were best of ones. It definitely could be a map that they were just hiding, because if you never get to a best of 3 stage, a lot of the time, like if another team just bans it as like even a 2nd or 3rd ban.
Yeah, overpass is really like middle ground for 2 teams, right?
So I would say that it's definitely possible this is a map they practiced, it just never came up. It's unlikely, but if you don't play very much,
that's fair. The question is though, like if it's good enough to beat NRG, then it's good enough to compete with pretty much any team in the world. At least on for normal day on NRG side, overpass is their strongest map, right? So if Vega are keeping these kind of pocket picks and kind of curious about the rest of their map pool.
Yeah, maybe they're an expert nuke team and
we just don't know about it.
They've been hiding it all along. Maybe they'll be the first like probably 7 map team. I doubt it, but either way, whatever's going on here is starting to get a little bit scary. Obviously, we're yet to see a buy round coming out from NRG. Again, another nice shot from Breeze. He's making some extra money to go with that AWP that will be coming into the next round. Ooh. And he's making quite a bit of extra money. In fact, $300 every kill he gets. He'll be getting the $2,400 into the next round, which will mean he can even buy head armor, he can buy utility. So that's something that normally an AWP going into the first buy round does not have, even if they save everything. So also, obviously, more importantly for most of his teammates, he's lowering the economy here. He's stopping them making as much cash as they would have done. And that's why you actually see a lot of the players not really go hunting. Like you think, why are NRG saving? It doesn't matter. They don't really need these deegs. Well, don't give all that extra cash over to the SMGs.
Absolutely, very true. And I mean, we did, you know, end up kind of laughing at the situation we saw Ethan find themselves in over on the T side. He was sitting at 13K 6 rounds in, right? Yet to die and all that good stuff. And that obviously makes your job a whole lot harder for the CT side. Just having to go up against constant buy if one player is rich enough to be able to potentially drop, you know, 3 AKs to his teammates if need be.
But that was it. I'm pretty sure they won 3 rounds in a row before there was a break of an eco coming out from. And even that was a half buy. So they never really got a break on the Vega Squadron side. And that's why the 5 rounds in a row that they got was specifically impressive, because they were pretty much all purchases. And I think one of the 5 was some like pistols with armor. And even that can be deadly. This is, though, the first CT buy. They do actually opt to keep that UMP in place. You can already see that Ethan has a bit of spare cash. And we're looking at Chopper trying to find an opening. Doesn't have much support here. It's all just down to individual picks, but can't say I'm overly surprised. That is a very Vega Squadron way of playing the game.
Yeah. Actually have to forego a lot of map control here in order to focus on this B bomb site to start things off. And I would say, just on average, that A defense between Fugly and Cirque is really, really tough to deal with. Crush is so far the only player over towards restrooms. Let's see if he's going to be any sort of point man to try to draw any sort of rotation, or if they're just going to go in dry. Seems like that might just be the plan.
Oh, JR, though, he's going to find that opener. Breezy left completely blind, and although they've come into this a bit late, it's just going to be flawless from the T side. Every single pick going their way. And Fugly and Cirque, well, you can see Fugly's just gone. He's just, I'm out. Straight in towards the toilets. I think it's his teammates who crapped themselves, so really, they're the ones who should be in his position, but great round from Vega. They're up to 12 now. Now, that's the thing. It's like, I feel like I've still been sat here just like, and now NRG will okay, yeah. And now NRG will turn this back. And I feel like it's getting to the point now where I'm going, and NRG will turn this back? Like, what? What's going on?
NRG are going to take it to OT?
All the rounds.
Yeah. I mean, this is just straight up impressive from Vega. I mean, you can, again, yeah, for a team who hasn't played it, they've definitely practiced it. There's no doubt about it. You can see when they move up short there, they still have the flash from Monster even after JR picks up the first frag to completely blind out the second energy defender there. They know what they're doing. It's not like they're just completely lost out there on the battlefield, swinging into energy players.
And the question is, do they buy here? So they had a couple of players with 3,000. Obviously, there was the extra money as well on Ethan, 6,800 he had going into this. So there's an argument for buying. At the same time, you may be down to like an SMG or a FAMAS on the couple of players. Is it worth it?
I think you might go for it. Again, you put Cirque in a more aggressive position. You have him stay in a more aggressive position over towards that A bomb set that could allow for Fugly to strengthen the B defense. Ethan's obviously going to have enough money to buy up. And, I mean, UMPs and utility, or even ZZs if you want, could go a pretty long way. That's what they opted for as well. Got plenty of utility here. See what comes of it, though. But, again, when you do this kind of an investment on the side of energy, it is a pretty big gamble. Could be a 2-for-1, really, for Vega Squadron.
Let's see if the gamble pays off. It could be what turns the tide and brings things back for NRG, or it could be the thing that takes us over to a third map already. A good start. Hutchie in the sight, just waiting with the MAC-10. Maybe expecting an eco here. They've got plenty of money. They didn't need that SMG, and it may come back to bite them a little bit. They're into a 3v4. The CT side, their economy, of course, on the brink of going back to an eco in the next round. Dap's just going to be waiting on the site. He has a lot of support here. Rotation already coming back round from Cirque with the AWP from above. They also have Ethan trying to hold if any of the players look to try and rotate away. JR catches him, though, as he jumps up. Tony Black on the site still as Fugly looks to make sure they haven't just left, and they are actually turning things back into their favor. Daps and Cirque now with everything to do. JR just watching like a hawk to make sure that Cirque can't gain any ground, and it really means that this is on to Daps, but he does have a chance to actually deny the plant. Goes in, and Tony Black saves him in the nick of time. Great work from Vega Squadron from a 3 versus 4 to a 3v1. Cirque with 3 HP. He has to run away.
Wow. Energy there in that situation, banking everything on most of the pressure coming through short. They went at the duels there, but Yeah, you saw Hoochie with, I think it was a Mac 10, yeah.
Oh, he's good.
On the side. Goes from bad to worse here for NRG. 13 rounds for Vega Squadron. And NRG are back to an eco. That is insane.
Look at them laughing away. The other thing you have to mention now, though, is that realistically, this could have been a 2-0 to Vega if they managed to steal this map away. They were so close to winning the first.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were so close. They were in such a good position to actually win it out that I thought it would be what would break them, right? You go into Mirage, it's your most played map in that sense, you know, where you can be feeling most confident of actually winning it out versus NRG. You lose that as narrowly as you can, and now you go into NRG's best map by quite some margin, and a map you haven't played together as a core officially. So how do you not get broken mentally by that?
The thing is, though, I guess if you're a team that goes into a tournament without huge expectations, getting to a semi-final and losing a map 16-14 to arguably one of the favorites in the whole tournament, it's not that much of a detriment to you. And if you know that going into the next map, they're going to underestimate you, which by the looks of it, they have, you kind of see that, well, maybe that was actually a confidence boost. Like, okay, well, we didn't really expect to do too much here. We've actually got it 16-14, probably should have won. Let's go into a map that they're not expecting us. And, whoa, obliterate.
Connection from Zerk there. Still a lot of work left to be done here. Ethan's going to try his luck, but gets taken out by Hoochie, so bomb side is in control of Vega Squadron for now.
The crush as well. Any hope they had of turning this back around is just based on his position. I don't think he knows that Breezy's actually crossed, though. But at the same time, he's not really covering off that short position, so he will likely have another player watching, and you can actually see it on the X-ray. Hutchie is just making sure that nobody can cut through these toilets, and well, realistically, the 14th round's done. That's it. It is going to be another on the board for Vega Squadron, and this is crazy. Like, this is crazy dominant as well. Like, it's not even in like a sort of close fashion. Breezy trying to close out one of these players, but now just has to run away from the bomb. And this is now 6 rounds in a row on the T side. More than we saw from NRG before Vega actually broke back.
Yeah, that's true. And the T side was kind of the big worry for us as well. I mean, we were talking about how, I mean, you have an orthodox CT side, but you've got to play that as a T side. So you can string together a couple of rounds here and there. But they've been absolutely brilliant here from start to finish. Where do you go from this if you're NRG? I guess, double up. That's going to be the answer, apparently.
Fast play once again from the T side. Ethan left completely blind, and they'll both go down within seconds. It's only left onto Daps on the site, and then it's a double up on the retake. He has to do something, and they've just sped this up. You want to try and have a little bit of a pause, a bit of a break, some time to try and think over what you want to do. Well, Vega Squadron have just gone running into the site. Your double AWP setup is worthless, NRG, as Vega are taking this 15th round by storm. They're already on the hunt. They're looking for these remaining players, and already they've removed one of those AWPs, and Fugly's down low. Look at the rotation coming in from Chopper as well, and from Hut G. They want this gun out of their hands, and there's so much money on the Vega Squadron side. They're going to do it as well. This is absolutely dominant from Vega, and well, they don't play overpass. I think that's changed today.
I mean, if they don't bring that back into their map pool, I have no idea what's going on. This is just so impressive from Vega, and I mean the B bomb, the B bomb defense really from NRG has just been out of it. They haven't been able to do anything as well. I mean, you had two of the better performing, or the two best performing players, just statistically speaking, in Ethan and Breezy over towards that B bomb side. That should be a pretty strong set of players to have to hold things off, but they've been able to stop nothing.
Yeah, they haven't played this map in 4 months, and when they did, they lost to 4s. Like,
and this is what they come back with.
And then this is what comes out. Like, it's mental, just absolutely mental. But Vega Squadron are definitely making this semi-final far more interesting than what we expected after the first map. Now it's a, well, hopeful situation for NRG, to say the least. They have a few rifles, a couple in the form of the Famai, an And Fugly's going to try and do it up close. Trying to take a little bit more aggression here, mainly because they don't have the weaponry to actually hold back on the site themselves. Cirque trying to defend off his teammate, and he will do some damage, but now Fugly has to switch, and Hunchy just executes him. Already leaves it with a man disadvantage, and he was actually the player who was low. It's kind of surprising that they didn't finish him off. Now they even look to try and take some monster control, and this has been a big problem for this CT side, the fact that they take the fights on short so often, so the Ts are just taking monster. This time, though, haven't pushed through yet, and once again, it's back to B for Vega as they look to head in towards this site fairly late into the round. 30 seconds left. The CT side this time look like they've got the read, but Hunchy actually kills Cirque on the back, and that's going to force what looked like some sort of rotation here. A little bit hesitant because of it. They're going to leave it with 20 seconds left to just run all the way back, and well, Daps is going to be here. If he can somehow drop the bomb, he has a chance, but that's the only real chance they have, and Hunchy, even with 15 HP, just ends his life again. That's the third kill in this round for him already. The bomb will go down, and now Breezy and Ethan trying to finish it. This man may even get an ace with no health. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's left onto Ethan to finally put him down. He has to try and clutch this. Needs an ace of his own. It's just not happening. A purely dominant performance from Vega Squadron on a map they haven't played in 4 months.
Nothing really makes sense in the world anymore. I've just given up trying to understand it. That was just so well played from them. And I mean, they finished it off nicely towards that A bomb site, but I mean, they were just abusing Energy over on B, and you said it time and time again. Energy was having such an affinity for trying to play aggressively on short, trying to see if they can find an opening pick that would go in their favor. And Vega Squadron just wasn't having it. I mean, you know, they were just saying, yeah, you can use all your utility you want over towards that area. You can have that. We're just going to walk through Monster and do it that way. And it was seamless. I mean, Vega Squadron was just fully in control of that match, just from, I guess, from 5 rounds out and to the end.
But that's another thing as well. They won the first 5 rounds and got 2 from then onwards. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. But you know what they say, Halvor? The best series always end on Inferno.
That is very true.
That is where we will be heading after the break.
And here is what I have to say about that. I haven't been here too long. In fact, in Kiev, I may or may not spend a lot of time here these days, but if there's one word I've learned to describe that of NRG, it is Joipa.
What does that mean?
Ass. That was complete, absolute, utter dumpster tier trash. Take it away, Duncan.
Oh, okay. I think that's all he has to say about this matter.
Just disgust. That's all I've got for them is disgust.
It wasn't great.
Obviously, give credit to Vega Squadron.
Of course.
They don't play this map. They led the whole way through. There was never in doubt, actually, they were going to win this map as the game unfolded. I don't know what's happened to NRG. Think about it. Through this whole tournament, yeah, they've had maps that was close.
Yeah.
People have been able to get a chance to beat them. No one's been dusting them off like this.
No, and I think, you know, I made a tweet saying that 75% win rate for NRG on this map this year, right? That's since the inception of the team, which is huge because they played massive opponents on this. They played big dogs on this, teams who actually play it. Then you look in the last 3 months, they have an 85.7% win rate. This is on LAN, right? You compare that to Vega, who haven't played the map on LAN in an official at all. They've only played it 4 times online, winning 1 out of those 4 times, which is an abysmal 25% win rate. And then you just think about this scenario. They shouldn't have had a shot in this game at all. Most of the rounds, NRG even got to start on the T side. That's where most of their rounds in their last 5 victories on this map have come from, where they've been winning at least, you know, 8 or 9 T rounds, which is more than par for the course on a T side. Here they're able to get 7. That's a little bit under their average. But you think, flick over to the CT side, they know how to beat down these rotations. They just got dictated to. I think that's a bit of a shell-shocking moment for them.
They did get dicked.
Yeah.
Not dictated to, yeah.
Dictated
sorry.
to, yeah.
Sorry, I misheard that. He left it, yeah.
Completely
Sorry, guys.
dictated down.
I'll try and articulate a little bit better.
Zoipa.
It's your word, mate. You live.
I don't, just chill for me, Chad. All right, yes, that was a rather ugly affair. And, of course, overpass is in the books. And this one will be going to all 3 maps, perhaps all the rounds if we're lucky. In fact, what would you like to see happen more of here on this next map?
I just don't want to see any more Monica Lewinsky's ugly affairs.
Damn. All right.
Okay.
Even Daps even won a 1v.
Dated reference, I
I don't think our audience will be getting that one, unfortunately. Daps even won a 1v3 within that first half, right? And they still weren't able to get it. There was that 2v2 situation where I believe it was Crush who set the defuse. Look, you can see here, see this positioning when that post plant goes down. Those are the type of rounds where they get you in transition. They sneak on in when they know there's only one player left to cover and make it so hard for you to try and come out of those situations. Whereas a team like Ents, they do the opposite. They'll give you all the room in the world and then beat you down with good positioning and good trading. And here there was something that was really struggling for NRG, I thought, at least in the early stages of the first half, was their trading was really bad. They were getting picked off, and it wasn't the immediate trades that were coming in. So fantastic work by Vega. They really were able to grind this one out. And even on a lot of low-buy situations as well. You know, you could see them with pistols, making it work with no matter what. And the T side, well, just blistering, right? They had a few simple ideas, and they made it work.
Yeah, and I don't know why it is that this NRG lineup can't come full circle here on this map, because honestly, we touted them as being awesome here. We touted them as having this sort of like, oh, they're going to come in here. This should be a pretty convincing, quick, easy sort of affair. However, just numerous mistakes over and over and again. What exactly are you taking away from this one, Duncan?
Well, the bizarre thing about it as well is everyone knows the championship that they did win was the IAM Shanghai one, where it was all teams that were ranked below them. It was teams that, funnily enough, some of them would be considered better than Vega Squadron. So people actually kind of tried to downplay that, like, oh, they didn't beat any good squads. So you think of the times we've seen them have their struggles, it's against the top teams. It's against teams that actually can be very, very dangerous. It's against even the Mouse Sports team that obviously went on to win ESL New York. There's a lot of pedigreed players in there. So it's kind of a little bit underwhelming that against the players who should be choking, the ones that should be kind of giving up chances in the game, it's actually NRG that blew it here. I mean, they really had a chance to make this a 2-0, get it clean out the door. Didn't happen.
Well, clean out the door isn't what we're going to be doing exactly.
No,
we're going to be going
stick around.
Yeah, we're going to be sticking around. And in fact, switching now over into the third map. Everyone likes a good little bit of a dumpster fire, which is what this one's sure to be. Inferno, a raging one at that. And quite frankly, Chad, you look puzzled, you look baffled, and I kind of want to understand what's wrong, man.
I always look that way, but I was going to agree with you in the sense that this one will be like a close affair because we've already seen it once in the tournament, and it was an overtime match. So if it delivers like it did the first time round, it'd be a banger. And we always know Infernos, they tend to be synonymous with overtimes in deciding games. So all signs point to this one being a really good match, but all the momentum has to be in the favor of Vega right now. That's such a huge confidence booster for them, considering, that first map was relatively close, all things considered. Moving on to a second map, which is one that they don't play. They've been able to they even had some cool moves coming in there, right? It wasn't simple as they were just running around doing things that were unexpected. They actually had some good ideas, so that's a huge confidence booster going into Inferno, which now, if you're NRG, you have to be shell-shocked, because I am.
Are you, Chad?
Yeah, man. That's why I look surprised.
You look visibly shaken.
With that said, though, it is still very much in your wheelhouse.
Of course.
If you want to be a top team, one of the hallmarks of a top team is you have got to be able to adapt. You've got to be able to reset. And again, I mean, at this point in time, let's just do it for the sake of it. NRG, fabulous win rate here. Look at some of the teams they're able to beat. FaZe Clan, North. Then you go on the side of the Vega Squadron, 22% over the last few months. Only beating Hellraisers out of all of those, losing to teams you've probably never heard of, like Monolith, losing to CIS squads that themselves aren't that good, like a Vanguard with Fitch, etc. But then again, we did say similar things when they were playing earlier on Overpass.
Yep.
We've seen them get on these maps, DOS2 Cash, they don't particularly play, and they have been able to produce results. So I feel like this tournament feels like you're in the Twilight Zone. Like, you can't take any of the past results of Vega Squadron and apply them to what they're doing now, because it's just an entity unto itself, it feels like. And interestingly enough, I have that kind of vibe about it. This sometimes happens every now and then in a tournament where at the tournament, it feels like this will keep happening. It feels like they will maintain this kind of form, this attitude. But I've got to say, no matter what they do, even if they win this tournament, I feel like next tournament, they're going to be back to the old Vega Squadron. I don't think this is going to continue.
It's hard for them to keep evolving, but at least they're starting to look more like a team, right? It doesn't feel.
Sharks
it feels
did
like
evolve millions of years ago.
Oh, they're adapting. They're definitely adapting their play of Counter-Strike even within this tournament. So if we just reflect a little bit more on the Inferno game that happened previously, they split pistols. Opening kills actually went in favor of Vega. Clutches actually went in favor of Vega, and NRG was still able to take it. Now, neither team had, a blowout half. These were 8-7 halves, so very close affairs once again. I think it's something that we have to point out is this is where Chopper, he was missing, and he has been missing on Inferno in 2 out of the 3 times that they played it in this tournament so far. So all eyes on him because Overpass was a team effort. If you look at the disparity of kills for the guys on on Vega on that second map, it was all very close. Everybody did what they needed to do, and that's the most impressive factor for me. That was a team victory. It wasn't somebody like JR or Chopper just carrying, you know, the load there.
You want to talk to Chopper?
Get to yeah, nice. That's not bad. Just save it for the throws. You're really good at those like sort of throw fadeaways. We can talk a little bit about consistency real quick because there's one player that's still standing out on the side of NRG. It would be Ethan. Yeah. Of course, if you look over on the Vega Squadron side and across this entire best of 3 so far, it has been the likes of Tony Black and Ethan.
Yeah, sure. Look, throughout the series, I suppose that they've both been putting up numbers. Just to build more on what Duncan's been saying about Cirque, in a lot of their victories, he hasn't really had to do anything. Overpass, though, is one map where he should have done something. Sure. And he is the highest rated player for this team historically when they do play Overpass. And here, he was one of the lower rated players. He only had 13 kills. You know, obviously it's difficult when you can't get the AWP up and you're under. But when you do get the AWP, that's where you need to seize the opportunity and make the most of it, right? So we need Cirque to come online in this final map, which is really difficult for AWPers. We know how hard the T side AWPing can be on Inferno. CT side, not so difficult. But I think these are the players, Cirque and Chopper, are the 2 ones who I'm going to be looking for. See what form they can bring into this final map because we still know Ethan and Breezy are getting what they need done.
Yes.
Do you guys think that perhaps because this is now relatively a best of 1, you know, both these teams need to win 1 map, it kind of brings the comfort level back down a little bit, Vega. They were able to silence them over on Overpass. Do you think it kind of levels it out between the 2 teams?
I mean, to be fair, Vega was right in that first map. They've actually outperformed NRG over the series. So for me, like as he said there, the one area where the NRG guys should have a clear advantage is they've got 3 potential star players, each player that can carry the entire game. So if those 3 all come into the game in full force, they are going to win this game. Like as well as we've seen the Vega Squadron guys play, it's not like the most polished Counter-Strike. They're not playing the most high-level Counter-Strike. Ethan's out there. He's like, I'm still standing, better than I was before.
He's not to be confused with Nate because that's also the other guy on the team.
You know what's pretty crazy? Like the whole fact that Tony Black changed his alias because of a confidence issue that people thought that he played bad when he was back in Navi and stuff. And to be fair, he probably did. But now he's changed name and he's playing, you know, some good Counter-Strike, some very solid Counter-Strike across this tournament, having some star performances. That's insane that just changing the name is that much of a mental edge for a person,
wait
right?
a minute. Hey, Edward, I've got the idea, mate. Right, yeah. Change your name. So.
Jesus Christ. Usually when you hear about name changes in these sports, it's along the lines of, oh, well, this guy might have been a little bit toxic in the past.
Well, that's the thing. We'll combine the 2. Hey, Edward, have you ever heard of Nate? Nah, neither have I, mate. Put your name backwards.
Yeah, man. Nailed it. Just like we're going to nail ourselves to the wall during this break and then onward into the last map of the series. It's going to be Inferno. And if Duncan has anything to say about it as this camera fades out, let's hear what that has to be. Don't go anywhere.
Fading.
Loot Bet. With Hellcase multi-cases, you're no longer restricted by random case opening mechanisms. Now, you are able to pick any of the cells containing skins and actually determine what you win. Use the promo code and dive right in.
Like a wrecking ball.